You feel guilty, even now, and you can't fully explain why. Nothing actually happened. No mistake, no accusation, but the feeling is there anyway. Heavy, quiet, persistent. It shows up when the room goes dark, when the noise finally stops, when you're alone with your thoughts, and there's nothing left to distract you. Your chest tightens. Your mind starts scanning. Did I say something wrong? Did I miss something? Did I hurt someone without realizing it? And the strange part is this. If someone asked you directly what you did wrong, you wouldn't have an answer. Still, the guilt stays. It feels personal, like it knows you, like it's been waiting for the lights to turn off. You replay conversations you thought were done. Harmless moments. Neutral words. But suddenly they sound different at night. Your tone feels off. Your pause feels suspicious. Your silence feels loud. You imagine how it must have sounded to them, how it might have landed, how it could have been misunderstood. You picture their face, their reaction, the moment they decided something about you. And just like that, your body reacts, as if something already went wrong. Your stomach drops, your jaw tightens, your shoulders pull inward. You feel like you need to apologize, but for what? You don't know. So you lie there, mentally drafting apologies you'll never send, practicing explanations no one asked for, preparing defenses against accusations that haven't happened. Your mind keeps whispering, just in case, just to be safe, just so you don't get caught off guard. And there's something exhausting about that, always being ready, always being alert, always assuming you missed something important. You don't feel like a bad person, but you don't feel innocent either. It's like you're standing in a courtroom that exists only in your head. No judge, no jury, just you on trial. And the evidence is vague, fragments, what-ifs, tone memories, gut feelings. You try to reason with yourself. You tell yourself nothing happened, that you'd know if it did, that you're allowed to exist without constantly checking your moral balance. But the guilt doesn't respond to logic. It responds to feeling. It's quiet, subtle. It doesn't scream. It just sits there, like a low hum you can't turn off. You wonder if other people feel this way, if everyone lies awake replaying their day like this, if everyone feels the need to mentally clean up after themselves before sleeping, or if it's just you. You think back further, years sometimes, moments you thought you had already forgiven yourself for, a comment you made, a boundary you set, a time you chose yourself and someone else looked disappointed. Your mind brings it back like unfinished business, as if time didn't pass, as if it's still happening. You feel the old tension in your chest, the same familiar guilt, the same need to fix something that can't be fixed anymore. You imagine different endings, different words, different versions of yourself, kinder, quieter, less complicated, someone who didn't cause discomfort, someone who didn't take up so much space, someone who didn't leave room for misunderstanding. And underneath all of it, there's a fear you don't always name. The fear of being the problem. The fear of being wrong without knowing it. The fear that one day someone will finally point at you and say, there, that's it. That's what you did. So you monitor yourself, your tone, your reactions, your pauses. You second guess your feelings before you even feel them fully. You soften your words mid-sentence. You apologize out of habit, not because you're guilty, but because you're trying to prevent guilt. You've learned that being careful feels safer than being confident. That questioning yourself feels more responsible than trusting yourself. And maybe no one ever told you outright that you were too much. Maybe they didn't have to. Maybe you just learned, slowly, that being misunderstood hurts. That disappointing someone feels unbearable. That causing emotional friction, even unintentionally, feels dangerous. So your mind stays on watch, even when you're tired, even when you're innocent, especially when you're innocent, because innocence doesn't feel secure to you. It feels fragile, like something that could be taken away if you're not paying attention. You think about the future too, conversations that haven't happened yet, scenarios that might never exist. What if I say the wrong thing? What if they take it the wrong way? What if I realize later that I hurt them? Your mind runs ahead of time, trying to protect you from regret, but it brings the guilt with it early. So you carry it now, preemptively, and at night when there's no one to perform for, no one to reassure, no one to distract, the guilt gets louder, not accusatory, just sad. It makes you feel like you owe something, an explanation, a repair, a better version of yourself. You wonder when you'll finally feel clean inside, when your mind will stop searching for mistakes, when rest won't feel conditional. And sometimes you think, if I could just understand why I feel this way, maybe it would stop. But the truth is, this guilt isn't coming from something you did tonight, or last week, or even years ago. It comes from being someone who learned that being emotionally aware meant being emotionally responsible for everything. From learning that harmony mattered more than clarity, that peace mattered more than truth, that keeping things smooth mattered more than being fully honest. So now, when there's silence, your mind fills it with self-examination, not because you're broken, but because you learned that safety lived in anticipation. And I know you don't want to hurt anyone. That matters to you deeply. You care. So much that your mind sometimes confuses care with self-blame. So much that you'd rather feel guilty than risk being careless. And maybe tonight, as you lie there listening to this, with that familiar tightness in your chest, you don't need to solve anything. You don't need to confess. You don't need to fix the past. You don't need to rehearse the future. Maybe it's enough to notice that the guilt showed up, not as a verdict, but as a habit. A pattern, a protective reflex that stayed long after it was needed. You can let it sit there without answering it, without proving anything, without arguing, just noticing, breathing. You are allowed to exist without constantly being on trial, even if your mind hasn't learned that yet. And tonight, you don't have to earn your rest.